3 phrases. That was all it took to transform a calm off-season for the WNBA into an intense pressure cooker. Run it back. 3 words placed beneath an Instagram post, not a press conference, not an interview, not even a comment taken out of context. Music. The public was suddenly made aware of the Indiana Fever's complete off-season plan. Because music is never accidental when Caitlin Clark expresses something so straightforward. It's also undoubtedly not a small conversation. It appeared innocuous at first. A highlight film from the 2025 season is shared by Sophie Cunningham. A hint of nostalgia, a reminder of the days when fans were grinning, scrolling, and moving on. However, Caitlin Clark appears in the comments. There are no emojis, inside jokes, or soft landings, just music and a clear, concise message. Run it back. What should have been a typical off-season recollection suddenly became the most contentious social media debate the NFL has witnessed in years. Clark didn't say this in private since context is crucial. She didn't send it a text. She didn't tell management in private. She put it up so that everyone could see it. Rival teams, fans, the media, and above all, the Indiana Fever front staff. It's not a coincidence. Leverage is that. The league's spokesperson does not request permission before speaking in public. She is challenging the organization to react by establishing the tone of music. Sophie Cunningham did not dismiss it either. She retaliated. Right away. Twice a week, we get together for dinner and cuddles. Sure, it looked lighthearted on the outside, but it was actually confirmation. This was not a biased opinion. Fans weren't creating meaning where none existed. With this song, 2 musicians were clearly communicating the importance of what they had created together and their expectation that it would continue. All of a sudden, memories were not the topic of discussion. It had to do with the future. Music emotion wasn't what caused this moment to blow up. The time was crucial. The league is on the verge of disintegration. There will be expansion. Toronto and Portland are waiting. Everything was frozen in place during the CBA negotiation. However, front offices will have days, not weeks, to complete the protection list that could shape franchises for years once that agreement unlocks. Every action will be closely examined. Each omission will reveal a tale. And Caitlin Clark raises her flag in public just prior to that pressure. This is the reason this comment was made. Similar to a warning shot. Because Clark doesn't act on impulse. She is strategic. She is knowledgeable about optics. She is aware of power. And she is aware that in the contemporary WNBA, silence can be just as powerful as a message or piece of music, which amplifies the impact of speaking up. It wasn't nostalgia to run it back either. It wasn't fandom. There was no possibility of misunderstanding because the message was conveyed in simple terms. The Fever is now imprisoned in a they can't get out of the spotlight they didn't ask for. Keep Sophie Cunningham safe or run the danger of losing someone else to growth. Let her be vulnerable and make it extremely apparent to your franchise player that her voice is limited. This is no longer merely a basketball choice. In a league that is evolving more quickly than some front offices can keep up with, it's a test of alignment, trust, music, and awareness. The most unsettling aspect is that everyone is observing. Fans, the media, and expansion teams seeking a sense of identity. This one remark started a dialogue that Indiana hoped would continue. Behind closed doors. Furthermore, future events will influence more than just a roster. It will show whether the Fever truly comprehend the league they are currently playing in or if they will have to learn it the hard way. Posting is not something Caitlin Clark does lightly. When someone tries to minimize the remark, they first overlook that. This gamer doesn't constantly post replies, inside jokes, or spontaneous ideas on social media. She is aware of the weight of her words. Therefore, every public action she takes is evaluated. Music is never coincidental when someone like that decides to make a public statement, especially in just 3 words. It's deliberate by design. It might have appeared differently if this had been merely lighthearted banter. Music to soften the message, there would have been laughing and emoticons. Run it back clean and direct instead. No ambiguity or padding. You don't talk like that while you're thinking back. Music when you're expressing a preference that you hope will be respected. Furthermore, Sophie Cunningham wasn't the only audience member in this instance. The entire company was observing from the sidelines. More important than the words themselves is the public nature of it. Caitlyn had the option to answer the phone. She had the option to text. She might have mentioned this in private, where these discussions typically take place. However, she didn't. She stated it where competing teams could discreetly take notes, where supporters could capture screenshots of it, and where media accounts could spread the word. Music Just That decision indicates that this wasn't a friendship. Before Indiana could take control of the conversation, it was important to frame it. It is made considerably louder by timing. This didn't occur in the middle of the season when feelings were running high. It didn't occur following a difficult defeat or elimination from the playoffs. It took place in the quiet time of the off-season, just before the league's most turbulent period. Hesitancy is not rewarded in expansion drafts. They penalize indecision. Music Clark is aware that after the front offices will have to work quickly once the CBA clears. By speaking now, she ensured that her position was known before those choices were taken. Additionally, that comment contains a small shift in authority. Clark is more than just the finest player for the Fever. She is the driving force behind their national recognition, relevancy, and ratings. The dynamics within the building are altered when someone with that degree of power makes a request in public. Ignoring music isn't neutral all of a sudden. It turns into a declaration. You're either on the same page as your franchise star, or you're prepared to take the chance of appearing uninterested. Because of this, referring to it as a joke completely misses the mark. Jokes vanish. This song didn't. It persisted. It spread. It compelled discussions that Indiana would have wanted to put off. Clark didn't make any direct demands, but she didn't have to. The message's simplicity did she finds the music appealing. A line could be drawn with just 3 words. The Fever must now determine if they are prepared to cross it. The league is standing on a trap door that hasn't yet opened, which is why this moment seems so stressful. No front office is fully prepared for the impending expansion. It seems doable on paper. Existing teams defend a select few players, new teams join the league, and the remaining players become accessible. It's actually controlled pandemonium. The kind that highlights every flaw in the roster's design and every leadership hesitancy. Everything unlocks at once when the CBA discussions are ultimately resolved. Teams, free agency, contract structures, protection lists, and music won't have the luxury of time to consider every possibility. They will have days, not weeks, to choose the players who will shape their destiny, and with whom they are prepared to wager. The timing of Clark's remark was precisely due to this pressure. Because Indiana is going to make more than just strategic judgments. They will be hasty, impulsive, and irreversible. By design, the expansion rules are harsh. Only a few players, probably 5 or 6 at most, can be protected by each squad. That's all. No sentimental protections, no special exclusions. Portland and Toronto turn everyone else into fair game. 2 teams with a clear mission and a fresh start are joining the league. Take proven value. From groups that are unable to keep everyone safe. Teams that are expanding don't build slowly. They take advantage of errors. That's what makes this extremely risky for Indiana. They don't have a lot of replaceable players on their squad. There are many players in it, each of whom is important for a different purpose. Carriers of culture, scorers, defenders, and music glue players. The margin for error vanishes when protection slots are this restricted. Every name you defend conveys a message. Every name you reveal speaks louder. Furthermore, Portland and Toronto are doing more than just selling shirts. They are constructing their identities. Music players are needed. Fans identify it right away. Players that are tough, charismatic, and trustworthy from the start. Before the first tip-off, they need faces that draw crowds, start discussions, and sell tickets. Thus, they're not merely looking at box scores. They seek narrative strength, presence, influence, and music. This expansion draft feels different because of this. Redistributing talent isn't the only issue. It has to do with opportunistic teams circling hesitant corporations. One error, we'll figure it out later, and you lose someone who instantly becomes the cornerstone of another franchise. The worst aspect is that you are not given a makeover. The story is written once a player is taken. Indiana is aware of this. Every front office in the league is aware of this music, which is why Clark's statement prior to the finalization of the lists adds even more pressure. She didn't wait for the mayhem to start. While the time was still running, she talked, making Indiana think about more than simply who they could afford to lose. But when expansion clubs call, they just cannot afford to let them go. Music Sophie Cunningham is the name that skeptics can circle the easiest on paper. She isn't the top scorer. She's hardly the player who regularly drops 30 or adds gaudy numbers to highlight reels. She is the type of player whose analytics department they persuade themselves they can replace if they are creating a protection list solely based on stat sheets and long-term forecasts. Cutting her loose feels dangerously wrong and deceptively logical because of this. Because of what Cunningham's contributions don't appear neatly in a box score. Her worth is found in the moments that aren't captured in slow motion, the nasty possessions, the chippy games, and the evenings when opponents choose to use Caitlin Clark's discomfort as a tactic. Sophie appears there. She was the first person in the music buffer, the player who was prepared to make contact, respond, and make it obvious that Clark would not be singled out or attacked without repercussions. People underestimate the importance of that role, particularly for a generational star in her early seasons. Under a harsh spotlight, you don't simply ask any rotation player to handle that duty. It necessitates knowledge, trust, and a readiness to play an unappreciated role so that someone else might shine. Cunningham made a snap decision. She took it in her arms. A short-term free agency contract or a late-round draft pick doesn't offer that kind of dedication. Additionally, because it is more difficult to measure, the leadership component is sometimes disregarded. Cunningham stabilizes the locker room with his edge. She establishes a tone when things go out of control. The one who pushes back is her. Both stars and younger players can concentrate on their work rather than handling pandemonium thanks to that presence. When you take that away, everyone's emotional burden immediately increases. Ironically, she is the dangerous cut precisely because of this. Music teams persuade themselves that chemistry naturally resets, that culture can be swiftly restored, and that toughness and leadership are interchangeable. However, history says otherwise. There are immediate repercussions when a player who anchors that dynamic is removed. Communication deteriorates and defensive intensity declines. Tiny issues grow into larger ones. Throughout the season, Indiana witnessed this personally. Sophie had a significant role in their identity development, which went beyond simply winning games. She allowed Clark to breathe. She provided the team with an advantage. She provided opponents with something to consider. These aren't luxury items. They serve as foundations. And it's not just a roster decision to leave someone like that exposed. The idea that you can replicate something that took a whole season to construct is risky. Sophie Cunningham's influence outside the court alone makes Indiana stop, even if you ignore everything she does in between the lines. This is not a player who sits on the bench in silence. Her influence extends much beyond the WNBA bubble. And in a league that is still vying for attention, relevance, and cultural momentum, that visibility is really valuable. Teams now engage in more than simply on-court competition. They compete in reach, engagement, and storylines. Sophie is one of the few players who can move all three at once. During the recent rise of the league, Cunningham emerged as one of the nation's most sought-after female athletes. Not only in basketball, but also in all sports. That is not an accident. It occurs when visibility, timing, and personality come together. Music, she is the host of a popular podcast. She's appearing in major sports programs. Her opinions, self-assurance, and presence are making her go viral. She draws fresh attention to the team she represents each time she speaks. And Indiana was that team throughout this period. That is more important than some front offices would like to acknowledge. Caitlin Clark's arrival didn't only help the Fever. The ecosystem that developed around her was advantageous to them. Sophie played a major role in that. She contributed to making Indiana more than simply a box score. Fans weren't merely keeping an eye out for threes and assists when they watched. They were witnessing the real-time development of narratives, chemistry, and personality interactions. Whether traditionalists like it or not, that is the current WNBA. The fact that Cunningham decided to develop her platform alongside Clark adds even more potency to this dynamic. She didn't fall into her own orbit. She sided with the league's spokesperson. Both of them were enhanced by their collaboration, and consequently amplified Indiana. It produced something greater than either player working alone. You are no longer discussing replaceable parts at that point. You are discussing a brand ecology that is difficult to rebuild after it has been damaged. And for that reason, if Indiana handles this issue like a straightforward math problem, it is extremely risky. Sophie's departure would affect more than simply the rotation as a defender. A public-facing identity that fans have already emotionally invested in would be shattered. Spreadsheet analysis won't help you overcome that setback. A news release cannot be issued. And anticipate that folks will move on. Off-court power is no longer a plus in a league where exposure and connection are paramount. It is a component of the foundation. Additionally, Indiana cannot afford to overlook the part Sophie Cunningham has in it. When Caitlin Clark urged, "Run it back," she wasn't referring to sentimentality. She wasn't clinging to solace or reliving memories. In this league, she was defining what victory truly means to her. It's important to note that Clark isn't only pursuing headlines or numbers. She is attempting to lead, prosper, and survive in a setting that has previously shown generational stars how harsh it can be. Music and reality, what Clark was supporting was a framework, a system of trust, and a team of individuals she knows she can turn to when the game gets physical and the noise becomes too much. That steadiness is embodied by Sophie Cunningham. She stands for emotional safety, competitive balance, and protection. Clark understands what it's like to be the center of attention in every scouting report, every difficult closeout, each pointless bump. It has nothing to do with friendship to want Sophie back. It's about preserving an atmosphere that works and allows for sustained excellence. People tend to underestimate Clark's awareness in this situation. She is aware of how easily team culture may break down. She has witnessed the brittleness of chemistry when it is disturbed. Her comment wasn't ambiguous because of this. It wasn't expressed as nostalgia or hope. It was straightforward. She wasn't requesting that management take any action. She was sharing with them what has been shown to be effective. And she wanted that standard documented, so she did it in public. The message also has a leadership component. Whether Indiana is prepared or not, Clark is assuming her role as the franchise's voice. Leaders discuss more than simply their own work. They discuss the components that enable success. By publicly supporting Cunningham, Clark was expressing her ideals for a teammate. Music, toughness, loyalty, and the ability to deal with the messy aspects of the game. This is why it feels like such a crucial moment. Music, there was no ultimatum from Clark. She made no threats. She didn't make things dramatic. She just made her priorities clear. She is no longer under pressure. Indiana is the location. They're not only making a basketball judgment if they disregard that signal. The player whose voice they've built their future around is being minimized. And right now, that decision speaks louder than any comment could in this league. The damage won't appear all at once if Indiana makes a mistake. It will develop gradually, which is why it is so risky. There won't be a single headline or one significant defeat that you can point to and say, that's where it fell apart. When Sophie Cunningham is left unguarded, the first crack appears and an expansion team doesn't think twice. Music, when Portland or Toronto intervenes, an Indiana player who is viewed as disposable suddenly becomes the cornerstone of someone else's future. Sophie is more than just a roster addition for an expansion team. Her identity is prefabricated. Fans may instantly connect with her attitude, toughness, and recognition. Before a new team has even played a game, she lends them credibility. For a new market, that is gold. Additionally, it will be hard to miss the contrast if she is delivering her podcast from a different city, sporting a new jersey, and grinning during introductory press appearances. Music Indiana gave up momentum in addition to losing a key player. The change in storyline would be harsh. Music Sophie moved on, so this wouldn't be framed. As Indiana released her, it would be framed. The remark would stick in the minds of fans. They would recall that Clark had expressed a desire to run it back. They would recall the chemistry, the safety, and the time Sophie filled in for Clark. Additionally, that choice is replayed in people's minds each time Cunningham makes a significant play or goes viral on her new team. Sophie's voice adds even more volatility to this. She's not going away quietly. Both literally and figuratively, she has a microphone. She can influence the narrative through podcasts and national appearances, just by sharing the truth as she saw it, without being dramatic or bitter. That Clark wanted her there, that Indiana had a chance to maintain the core, and that the chemistry was genuine. No front office spin can completely contain that version of events once it starts to spread. The repercussions extend further within the company. Ignoring Clark's public support for music strains more than one relationship. It alters how management is viewed by players. It establishes the notion that input from the locker room has boundaries and that trust is difficult to regain once it is called into question. It affects future contract negotiations, how players talk about the team in front of the camera, and whether or not free agents believe Indiana is a place where stars feel supported. The long game comes next. The same perspective is applied to all subsequent decisions. Was control or victory the goal of this move? Was chemistry considered sentimental or valuable? It's not just Sophie Cunningham that Indiana loses. They run the risk of being perceived as a company that is unaware of the league's transformation. And in a WNBA that values trust, visibility, and connection. A mistake like that lasts much longer than a single season. The true nature of this situation extends well beyond Indiana and a single protection list. The WNBA is currently adapting in real time to a broader power shift, which is captured in this moment. Front offices and quiet are not the only factors driving the league. Negotiations no longer. Star players are shaping it because they are aware of their platforms, power, and the fact that public opinion is changing as quickly as transactions. Roster decisions were made in backrooms for many years. Players were expected to follow management's decision, and fans learned about it after the fact. The balance has shifted. The WNBA stars of today are more than just athletes. They are cultural forces, broadcasters, and brands. Music Caitlin Clark is not merely sharing when she speaks in public. A viewpoint. Even before executives take the stage, she is influencing the dialogue. Clark's remark feels different from such instances in the past because of this. Music, she was not critical. She didn't voice any complaints. She didn't cause mayhem. She reframed Indiana's impending decision by simply expressing alignment with a teammate. Confrontation is not the source of the power. Visibility is the source of it. Once supporters, every decision made by the front office is evaluated in light of what a star values. This is the league's new reality. Fans notice chemistry, which is why it counts. Because viewers make emotional investments, loyalty is important. Instead of merely being names on a roster, players who connect both on and off the court create compelling narratives. No one knows this better than expansion teams, which is why they are looking for players who contribute identity rather than merely output. Furthermore, seasoned teams who choose to ignore this change do so at their own peril. Indiana's predicament is turning into a case study, not because they are particularly careless, but rather because they are caught between outdated reasoning and contemporary influence. According to the previous approach, assets should be protected according to age, upside, and quantity. The question posed by the new model is different. Who keeps the space cohesive? Your star is amplified by whom? And who do fans trust? Music. That question was made public by Clark's remark. And it won't be the last time. Stars will continue to rise as the league expands. Should speak up earlier, more strategically, and in a more prominent manner. Teams that listen without feeling intimidated will succeed. Those who view player impact as noise rather than a signal will be the ones who struggle. Indiana's next move will affect more than just their roster. It will demonstrate whether they comprehend the power dynamics of the current WNBA, not the one they wish they were still playing in. Who made the protection list and who won't be recalled after the dust settles. It will be recognized for the insights it provided about Indiana as a whole. Long before the results appear in the standings, this is one of those moments that subtly defines a club. Not because Sophie Cunningham is the team's finest player, but rather because how you respond to a situation like this demonstrates to everyone your values under pressure. Music Indiana isn't merely picking players. They're making philosophical decisions. Music, do they think team formation is limited to controllable assets and future projections? Or do they realize that in the WNBA of today, are public alignment, chemistry, and trust as important as raw production? Caitlin Clark did not request preferential treatment. She was clear about her priorities. What follows reveals whether such visibility is significant or ends at the comment section. This is an awareness exam as well. The league has evolved. Fans are no longer passive. They follow narratives. They recall specific moments. They make connections between dots. If Indiana doesn't provide Sophie with protection, there won't be perplexed as to how it occurred. There's already a trail. The remark, the chemistry, the ensuing silence or action. Long after the expansion draft is finished, that context will continue to follow the fever. There's not much time left to do this correctly. Decisions will be made quickly after the CBA is cleared, and explanations will follow. At that point, intentions turn into deeds, and deeds turn into identities. Music safeguarding Sophie would indicate that Indiana is aware of the situation they're in. Allowing her to go would imply that they are still working on outdated presumptions in a league that no longer pays them. Music, this isn't about sentimentality or fear in the end. It has to do with alignment. The question is whether the Fever view Caitlin Clark as a talent to oversee or as a collaborator in creating something long-lasting. Music, because listening is not a favor when a generational player expresses this plainly. It's an option. And that decision will reverberate widely, beyond a single instance.